Now, this issue, or in quotes, bug, may or may not affect you. So don't panic. It's not a major thing. But I guess knowing about it is a great way to save some time, maybe pulling your hair out or throwing the damn thing out of the window. So I'm trying to save you all of that. So as I say, this may or may not affect you, but knowing about it will probably solve the problem. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another TASCAM Model 12 video, which I didn't plan to make. Now, about a year ago or so, or the last firmware update, myself and many others were keen to have the option of the PC audio, so that when you are listening to YouTube or the media player or anything on your PC, instead of going to channels 1 and 2, which ruined the whole experience of being able to use the mixer, we asked TASCAM to update the driver or the firmware in this case, what TASCAM did, so that we are able to select either 1 and 2 and going to the main, or 9 and 10, which TASCAM did. But even though my suggestion was to update the driver, the Windows driver, rather than the firmware, but TASCAM, did the change in the firmware rather than the driver, because I'm pretty sure I mentioned in a couple of my videos that it's a driver issue that can solve that without touching the firmware. But thanks TASCAM for making that effort and allowing us through the menu to be able to select that. And that helped really great, because we could play an audio on our laptop and I normally direct it straight to the main, so I don't had to sacrifice any faders. At the same time, in our DAW, I'm able to set that to 9 and 10, so I can control the output volume of my DAW and be able to do some recording. So the playback would come on 9 and 10, and I'll have mics, guitars, whatever I'm recording on the mixer, which was all fine. Recently, I've been trying to use my DAW as a tape machine. I just wanted to sort of create some video of how you can use your DAW simply as a tape machine, and then being able to play it back on your Model 12, 16, or the 24, or the 2400, and do Mixdown on the unit itself. Yes, I know you can record it onto the SD card and do the same thing, but if you have a big session which includes more than the number of channels available on your mixer, so let's assume you've got, let's go with the vibe of the analog of Model 16 and the 24 or the 2400, you've got 24 channels. What if your mixing session includes more than 24 channels? Most of them will have 48, 68, and 100 tracks. So how do you do a mix down on there? That's the whole idea. I was trying to plan a video on making it. And I realized that the Model 12 will have a problem, which I'm going to describe in a minute. Of course, I don't believe this exists in the 16 and the 24, because they don't have that option of being able to select the PC output as going to the default channel 1 and 2, the 9 and 10, or the main. And to get access to that, we just go into the menu, then into the system, and from the system to USB audio. At the second option, we can see PC channel 1 and 2 coming back. Will go by default channel 1 and 2, and you can scroll down for channel 9 and 10 and directly to the main without sacrificing any of the channels. So I'm just going to leave it as that. So let's exit all of that. So as I was trying to work out how we can do a mix down of using our DAW as simply a recording device like a tape machine and being able to mix here, I found a problem. and it took me a couple hours to work out what was happening. And hopefully me spending a few hours working it out will save you the time. So without any further delay, let me show you on screen what the setup I have to be able to do this and the issues that I'm confronting, and hopefully you won't. And just before I continue, I just want to demonstrate when I mentioned just a few minutes ago about how TASCAM should have updated the driver rather than the firmware. Okay, so if I go down to my Windows Audio and click, as you can see, it says speakers Model 12, and then I have my line, this is my Yamaha AG3, and the speakers on my laptop. And the only choice I have is speakers Model 12. And this, any audio that I select here will actually go to Model 12's channels 1 and 2, which is by default faders 1 and 2, and that's how we can actually change on the Model 12 into 9 and 10 and into the main. Unfortunately, that firmware change and update is not available on the 16 and the 24. You still are locked in using channel 1 and 2 on those mixers. So let me demonstrate how more than 10-year-old audio interface by Behringer. A lot of people, talk badly down on Behringer. This audio interface, the Firepower FCA 1616, which I purchased over 10 years ago, and let me connect that one and the choices that the driver will give. And now you know what I mean when I mentioned to TASCAM to change the driver rather than the firmware. This is my Behringer FCA 1616. It's connected through USB now instead of the Model 12. Now let's have a look on my audio settings. FCA 1616 line 1 and 2. So the output will actually go to the physical output of my Behringer FCA 1616 as WMD driver. And then I can click and look at that. I can select it to go to 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and even to the ADAT output. 7, 8. There you go. I can select any pair of the output as my audio playback for my Windows machine. And it has nothing to do with the selection of the output of my DAW. That's what TASCAM should have done, updated their driver so that it allows you to select any of the output pairs for the Windows, not just the ASIO. Now here on the screen, I've got my DAW open, and it's a small project because I thought I'll use just a small number of tracks to demonstrate this. It's only about 12 channels. Some of them are stereo, some of them are mono. So normally what you would do is, once you've got the tracks, as you can see right there, is they all go into the master bus. Let me just bring that out. I'm using Cakewalk by BandLab, still the free edition. And all of those channels mix down to the master channel, and the master channel output I'm using 9 and 10 in this case. And if I play it, I should be able to hear it on my 9 and 10 when I've got the mode switch set to PC return. So let's try that and press play.
In the orb, a face of light, smiling down.
Right, now I can turn the volume down, up and down.
Clouds of misty memories swirl.
So that's all good. That's a standard how you would want to mix a song if you are mixing in the DAW. But there is an option in most DAWs, including Studio One, Cakewalk by BandLab, and many others, I believe Pro Tools as well will be able to do this, is that you can assign each of the channels output, instead of going to the master, to go to your USB output. Now, since the Model 12 has 10 outputs, which correspond to the 10 channels here on our mixer, I can actually, right from here, I can select which output I want. So let's say my kick, I want my drums to, so that I can fit all 12 channels into the mixer. Let's say I decide that I want all my drums to go into 9 and 10. So I can select output 9 and 10. And then the snare can go there and so on. So I will do that later on. In my master output, I can just turn it off because there's nothing going to go out to the master. Each individual channel will go out to the selected and dedicated output to each of the mixers channel. So let me set it up without wasting your time, and I'll come back and I'll show you what I mean. Here we are. I've got everything set up. I've got my drums going to output 9 and 10, so I can control all of the drums. And all my faders will be at 0, except the shaker a little bit too loud, so I brought it down a little bit. But normally you would leave it at all on 0 fader. My bass guitar is on 6, and then my acoustic guitar is on 5. And then I've got 2 electric pianos. They're 7 to 8. So that's a stereo one, so I can control that with one fader. Then I have 2 violins, violin 1 and violin 2 on 3 and 4. And my main vocal on 1, leaving one of the channels empty for me. That's a future video that I'm going to make for you regarding how to record a channel with effects method number 2. If you haven't watched my video on how to record with the effects on a channel as a method number 1, I will leave a link in a card so you can watch that as well. So now I've got nothing going to the main, and let me bring out the main output. So the master output is none. Nothing is supposed to be going to any of the outputs. So each individual tracks are going directly to each of the channels. So let's give it a try. I'm just going to turn everything down, and we should be able to hear what is playing. And the song that I'm actually using in this example is All Souls Moon by James May. So let's bring up the drums. And then let's bring up the bass guitar. The electric pianos. 5 is my acoustic guitar. 4 and 3 are my violins. Now I can use as a standard mixing. And I can mix like that. I can add effects, EQ, compression, however I like. Of course, it will work so much better on Model 16 and the 24. So let's bring up the vocals as well.
Beaming through clouds of misty memory swirl. It's a line of silver thread to the other side. This all souls moon confides in both the worlds. This all souls.
Looks all fine, isn't it? So that's exactly how it's supposed to work. Now, what I can also do in this example is add another track. And I want that to come in 11 and 12, which is the master return back. I'm going to record, enable it, and create it. So I can record that, and that's going to record the master track that's coming back. Let's give it a try.
Tonight, in the orb, a face of light.
Let's actually try that example. I'm going to bring everything down so we can, I can demonstrate that that's how it's actually working. So I'm going to press the record and let it play. Drums first. Just roughly mixing.
Clouds of misty memory swirl. It's a line of silver thread to the other side. This all souls moon confides in both the worlds. abides both the worlds.
And we've just recorded, so let's have a look. I'm just close the console down, and here we are. That's the stereo track that we just mixed on the TASCAM Model 12, and we can go ahead and master it. And it will include all of the changes, volume changes, and so on. So let's try that. I'm going to send this to... where's the output? The output, let's send it to 9 and 10. So now we're going to replace that, and we're just going to hear just this track because I'm soloing it. That's what I was just doing. Eventually brought in some of the other instruments in.
Clouds of misty memory swirl. It's a line, a silver thread to the...
I hope that's all clear. That's what I was going to demonstrate. Now to the problem. Finally, Vache, just tell us what the hell is the problem. Okay, I will show you. Let's go into our screen here in the settings, and then I will demonstrate what happens. So if you are in that situation and you're trying to do exactly what I was trying to do, then this will explain. So let's go. Now, if you tried to do the same thing that I was just demonstrating a few moments ago, and things just didn't work, then what you need to do, this is the solution. I'm going to give you the solution first. If it doesn't work exactly the way I demonstrated, this is the solution. You need to go into the menu and into the system and USB audio and the PC channel 1 and 2 return. You need to make sure that it's at the default setting, the originally how it was for channels 1 and 2. That way, if it's set by the default as before the firmware update options available for 9 and 10 and to main, that it's set to channel 1 and 2. Okay? As you saw, if it's set that way, every channel from your DAW will go to that specific channel on your mixer. Okay? Now, if for whatever reason you are mixing and you have selected channel 9 and 10 as your PC main return, or let's say even to the main output, let's just go to 9 and 10 first. Okay? So that used to be my default return as well, so that any audio from my PC, when I'm watching YouTube, a movie, or any sound, media sound from my PC, it will go to my channel 9 and 10, set at MIDI at the PC for the mode, and I'll be able to control the volume from there as well. So let's assume that's what I just selected. Now it says PC channel 1 and 2 into 9 and 10. Okay, so let's go back to my DAW and let's try to do the same thing and see what's going to happen. Back into my DAW, nothing has changed. I just muted that last mastering track that I demonstrated, so no sound should be going. Everything else is routed to the outputs. Remember, on my mixer, I set my PC return to channels 9 and 10. Now, you would think that shouldn't really affect, because in a DAW, you're running in ASIO mode and not in MME or Windows audio like WDM or Wasapi. Okay, you're just running in ASIO mode. One would think that it should not affect, right? Because the PC return, we assume that that was coming from the PC audio, not your DAW audio. So let's give it a try. I'm just going to press play and try to do the same thing that I did previously. Press play. My drums should be on 9 and 10. Oops. 9 and 10, I'm getting vocal on the left hand, one side. I've got my whirlies there. Okay, my vocal's supposed to be on 1, but nothing there. There's no signal there, no audio coming. It's coming to 9 and 10, and on channel 9. So it swapped basically the channel from 1 and 2 into 9 and 10. That's because that's what we selected on the mixer as the PC 1 and 2 output into 9 and 10. Okay, so that's a problem, because if you try to do and you haven't put it back into default 1 and 2, you're going to go, where the hell is my vocal? Why isn't output 1 routing to channel 1? You know, you spend hours trying to work it out. I hope this will solve the problem. You just need to make sure that you set it back into 1 and 2. Now, quickly, let's go and select the output to main. Okay? So now channel 1 and 2 is going to main. As I repeat again, one would think that this should not affect the outputs of your DAW. It should still route to the correct channel. Now, what you'll find that output 1 and output 2 in ASIO mode will go to main. So it's not only Windows Media, but also in ASIO. Because the routing is happening in the firmware on the mixer and not on the driver, which is on your laptop or your PC. So let's play.
Tonight, in the orb, a face of light.
So now
Smiling down,
my vocal is going to main.
Clouds of misty
I don't even have any faders on. I can hear output 1.
It's a line of silver.
If I change the output 1 into output 2, it switches because it's going directly to the main. And none of
in both the worlds. This All Souls moon.
For me, this is a problem. Now, if you don't mix the way I shown you, and you just mix in your DAW, and you've got your main output being sent to either channel 1 and 2, or 9 and 10, or directly to the main, which that's how I have it set up until I discovered this problem, then you've got no problem. You don't have to worry about anything. It's not going to affect you at all. But of course, knowing about it, it's something you can look out for if you are stuck in some problem and you're sort of wondering why there is a sound coming out that it shouldn't be coming out. Now, this is also a problem to me. That means I need to go and change it back into default channel 1 and 2 output, especially if I'm using the mixer to route a channel out into external hardware and then being returned back. I just may have to make sure that it does not affect those channels. So normally, I haven't discovered it because I normally use channel 7, 8 to send audio from a DAW out into the world, into my outboard compressor through the sub output, and then return back, and haven't discovered it. But if I use any of the other channels while I have the PC return into 9 and 10 or main, then I will have some problems. And hopefully, lucky I discovered now about this, and I can understand it, and hopefully you do as well. So I hope it's clear what I just explained. So don't panic. If you are just mixing in your DAW, this should not cause you any problem. But if you are trying to mix on your DAW, on your mixer, and you come up with this issue, then you know, I guess whether they update their firmware to change the PC input-output, you shouldn't have any problem with the 16 and the 24. But on the 12, you got to make sure that you put it onto default 1 and 2 before you do any mixdown on your mixer. I know this was a lengthy video, but I thought I'll explain in detail and plus include a demonstration of what I was trying to do, and if that's what you want to do, what to watch out for. If you find these kind of videos helpful, feel free to subscribe to my channel and give a like to this video and share. And until next time, as always, thanks for watching and have a great time making music, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheerio, guys.